I do have to say, I very much enjoy the updates that StreamYard has done to the platform that we use here, including the intro and outro for us automatically, which is something pretty neat. Something that is not very neat, and I'm going to go on a little rant about this, is drivers. So over Thanksgiving weekend here in Canada, the spouse and I decided to go take a little drive to Sudbury, Ontario, to go visit some family down there, have Thanksgiving dinner. Well, on the way down, I didn't have a lot of sleep. So I was getting a little annoyed at the drivers that are out there, because our highway goes from a double highway to a single, and then a double passing, and then a single, and then a double passing, and so on and so on. It makes absolutely no sense to me when somebody is doing 80 or 90, and then all of a sudden we come to a double passing, and I go to go around them, and they go up to 120. And that continued throughout the entire drive to Sudbury.
I know that feeling all too well. Just driving down the line to go to Thessalon, we get those idiots, and it's worse. Yep. It's even worse. Like, yeah, you say Thanksgiving, but it's even worse at Christmas.
Right.
Yep. Prime example. I'm working on the truck this week because the navigator called in for school stuff.
Okay.
And we're coming back from Cooley, Black Dog Road to be specific.
Okay. Yep.
We're coming up the mile hill. Now, to get our truck up the hill, you need to get a good run and get it going at about 110.
Yeah, it's true.
And it's still down to 85 by the time you get to the top of the hill.
Right.
We got passed by a UPS transport going up the hill who promptly cut us off.
Right.
Didn't wait. Yeah, just literally he was, 50 feet past us and over, like not enough clearance. And you see all these warnings about, this is what happens if you cut in front of a transport. What happens when they cut in front of you?
Oh, goodness, right?
Yeah. And that's why, and this is a story that I totally remembered. So this was when I was serving the Army. I used to come up here every Tuesday night to do the parade night.
Right.
And we would stop in between here in the Sioux to pick up some other soldiers who would need a ride up.
Yeah.
And there was this one transport that totally cut us off right before we got to the last soldier that we were going to pick up to drive up. So we go and pick her up. We back out. What do we see about 10 minutes later? That same transport tipped over in the ditch.
Oh, really?
Yep.
Oh, it's not funny, but like it's yeah. I mean, you gotta be careful when you're driving on the highway. Before you continue on here, I do have to just get in Farsh and Chops. Thank you so much for coming by. We do read the chats, and no, we are not.
No, we definitely are not father and son.
yeah, we are essentially the exact same age. All three of us are. We have just been lifelong friends, I guess, is what it boils down to now, because who cares about time? It's all good. We have been friends forever.
Yeah.
All of us. But thank you so much for coming by.
I've lost count on how long we've all been friends.
Right?
Right.
We're just three guys who come on here on a Tuesday. Sometimes if I'm working my actual job and not here streaming, I am not here. But typically Chris Best and OMD definitely are. But we thank you for, saying that we seem awesome. We appreciate that. We have a lot of different things that we do here with our Turnbuckle Studios channel. We have a show essentially, absolutely every day of the week. And I guess, you know what? With that, I think it's showtime.
Oh, it is.
So for this show here, Turnbuckle Talk, we break down news, reviews, and rumors within the world of professional wrestling. And there's a lot for us to go through and kind of cover right now and speculate on, let's say. Now, we've talked about before we came on the show, we talked about what we want as our segment to end the show. I want to start though with a segment that each and one of us kind of talked about a little bit here already, and that is the Pro Wrestling Illustrated's top 250 rankings for the women. We have found out who the top 10 are as of right now. So I'm going to go from 6th to 10th right now, and then we could talk about 1 to 5 in a moment here. But the top 6 saw Sari come in 6th place. Bailey ranked 7th. Willow Nightingale, love you, Willow. This is absolutely amazing for her. You kept your 2023 spot of 8th place. Current AEW Women's Champion Mariah May making her first top 10 appearance, coming in at 9th. And Ring of Honor Women's Champion Athena dropped down to 10th place. Really awesome for all of those 5 women that are there. Bobby Batito, thank you so much for coming by. It's great to have you here. We're so thankful for you for being here with us on absolutely every show that we do. Now, how do you guys want to go about this? Do you want to talk about the winner first, or do you want to go to the 5th spot?
Because she's in the ring right now in NXT, why do you say we start with the 5th spot?
All right. So the 5th spot is going to Stephanie Vacker, who has done work with CMLL, New Japan, eventually AEW, and has now earned her place on the WWE roster back in July. Wow. Like, I wish I knew what spot she was at last year, because coming in, doing all this work with 4 or 5 different companies to take that 5th spot is absolutely amazing.
Yeah, here's a girl that last year I had no idea who she was. And then like the rumblings of her coming to the WWE made me want to study her. Okay. So I'm like, congratulations, making in that top 5. I mean, this is a woman that's going to be a future women's NXT champion. I can guarantee that. Her and Julia are going to tear down the house if they ever go up against one another.
Oh, yes. OMD, what are your thoughts on Stephanie Vacker?
Again, I had never heard of Stephanie Vacker until she did the AEW PLE with Mercedes Moné.
Oh, gotcha.
And
yes,
she caught me far better than Mercedes could ever hope to be.
Right.
You want to talk about a needle mover? Needle mover.
Yeah, for sure.
I know she had been cut from WWE from a tryout before, and potentially, I believe, maybe even an NXT developmental deal.
Right.
So the fact that she went out, got the seasoning, put in this work, and has now been a champion just about everywhere she's went, except for NXT, of course, because this is her debut match.
Right. And I'm happy to see that.
Credit where credit's due. Yeah.
Yeah. Mr. Best, who came in 4th?
At number 4, we actually have a woman I'm not too familiar with, so maybe you guys can give me some information on her. But we're looking at number 4 as Meika. Am I saying her name right? That's the other question.
I believe you are. Yeah. So Stardom, Stardom's Meika. Meika. I'm not sure exactly how it's pronounced. It's somebody that I'm not familiar with either. But I think I need to familiarize myself with her, especially after going through and holding both the World of Stardom and the Artist of Stardom championships over the last 12 months. I think really solidifies that this is somebody that we need to take a look at for sure. Bobby, I'm not sure who you're speaking of here, but I think it's going to be Stephanie Vac.
Okay. Yeah.
Her match against Iwatani at New Japan Pro Wrestling Strong Lone Star Shootout in 2023 for the IWGP Women's Championship. Again, another coveted championship in the world of professional wrestling is if you can hold any of those championships from New Japan. Talking about Stephanie Vacker.
Yeah.
OMD, do you have any information on our number 4?
I have no clue who she is. I probably heard the name in passing, but no idea, no information on her.
Well, there we go. We all have a little bit of homework to do then, I guess. And it's maybe in a couple of weeks.
It's time for us to find a way to watch Stardom.
Yeah. Maybe in a couple of weeks we can revisit this and talk a little bit about the number 4 Maka. That's what I'm going to say right now.
Oh, give me till tomorrow. I'll have history on her.
Number 3 on this list is the highest ranking WWE star on the list. So a WWE star didn't even make number 1 this year, which is a trend that we have been seeing for the last several years. Rhea Ripley comes in 3rd place.
I thought she wasn't she number 1 last year?
She was.
Yeah. She was number 1 last year, but it's just kind of like a trend that's been happening, right? Like not every year is a WWE superstar that's number 1, whether that is for the men's or the women's, which I think is absolutely fantastic, to be honest. But yeah, absolutely, she fell to 3rd place.
I mean,
I understand this. Because everything has sort of been evolved in the Judgment Day, whether she was taking charge of it. And really until late, like even as a part of that, there was not a lot of high quality matches. Now that she's got this intensity, now that she's able to try and focus on herself a little bit more, plus her injury, I think that all may have derailed it a little bit, but I think it was just the burden of carrying the Judgment Day that sort of detracted away from this.
Okay.
I'm going to kind of agree with that, because I'm looking at the other 2 women that she's in the top 3 with, and that's some stiff competition, if I may say so myself. Rhea, she didn't do a lot because she was hurt, but I guarantee you, and I'm hoping I'm right by next year, but I feel like she's going to claim back that number 1 spot next year.
You think Rhea is going to?
The way they're booking Rhea's kind of like the John Cena for females, you know?
Okay. I can understand that. I can get behind that.
Yeah. Because she's involved in right now almost all the major angles for the major women's the major side of the women's things. I mean, last night she had the stuff with Tiffany Stratton, she had the stuff with Nia Jax, and the stuff with Liv Morgan as well, all in one match, actually.
Right.
Yep. So yeah, I feel like she's going to claim back number 1 next year. I'm calling it right now.
Okay, you heard it here first. According to Mr. Chris Best, she's going to get to number 1 by next year. Number 2 on that list is a woman who has been working with TNA for a while and has done work with WWE's NXT. The queen of the TNA's Knockouts division all year long, holding the title since January 13th of 2024, Jordynne Grace.
What a fantastic year she's had. I mean, from the match with Naomi in TNA, that's still one of my favorite women's matches this year, to her appearing at the Royal Rumble just 2 weeks later in OMD. You remember how much I marked out about that. Every time I see her on TNA now, because now I have TNA and I can watch it weekly now, I mark out and I'm like, everybody shut up. I've got to watch Jordynne wrestle here.
Right.
And she's got this feud against Masha Slamovich coming up, and there's a part of me that wants to pull the trigger and buy Bound for Glory just for that match.
Yeah,
so
I don't blame you.
Everything she's done, from showing up to NXT and having the feud with Roxanne Perez, she more than deserves that number 2 spot because of what she's done in the past year.
If I was on this, for me, no, you're not going to get an argument. In fact, I would actually put Jordynne Grace in the number 1 spot if I had a say. Just a fantastic all-round competitor. And as you guys have alluded to, she is doing everything. TNA, NXT.
Right.
And she's putting in the work and putting people over. If it was in NXT, she's putting the people over. And that's actually on both brands.
Right.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, for me, Jordynne Grace, I am looking forward to seeing what she does if she stays with TNA when her contract expires in the new year. If she moves to NXT or WWE, and I fully expect Jordynne Grace to be in that number 1 spot a year from now.
Oh. Okay. There you go. You heard it there first from OMD. He's expecting Jordynne Grace to be number 1. Mr. Chris Best says Rhea Ripley is going to be number 1 next year. I was shocked but not surprised by the name that took the top spot this year, that being the AEW competitor who essentially ran the AEW women's division for better part of 8 to 10 months, let's say.
Maybe longer.
Maybe. She started out as a heel back in 2023 and kind of worked her way into becoming one of the most beloved characters inside the entire company right now. And we were talking timeless Toni Storm. Now, there's still some things about that character that not that I don't agree with, but I'm just kind of like, I think it's played its time. But you can't deny that she has been red hot, on point, and it's seen even in black and white promos that she continues to do. Everything that she has done has been fantastic. And then to see even that Mariah May, who has been involved with Toni Storm over the last little while, making a top 10 appearance as well, I think really goes to solidify Toni Storm as being the one to have that top spot.
I don't think you could have gone wrong with any one of the top 3, but yes, what a year for Toni Storm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She's reinvented herself time and again this year and just put, again, the work into all of her character development and her promos. She got active, whereas she didn't get used when she was in WWE. So she's had the reps and going to Japan and doing all of these other things.
Right.
There's two other ladies that I want to think of when it comes to Timeless Tony Storm this year, and that is Iconic.
Okay. Continue.
I'm good. Mr. Best?
Continue, because the viewers may not know who you're talking about.
Oh, and that would be the Iconics.
Who are the Iconics? Remind people.
Oh, Billy Kay and Peyton Royce.
There you go. You know what? Tony Storm has become pretty much the only reason I watch AEW, with the exception of Bryan Danielson.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so good on her for making that top #1 spot. Her character is total old school Hollywood, and that's me in a nutshell. I love watching those old school Hollywood movies.
Right.
Total Marilyn Monroe, or who's the other one? Betty Davis, you know?
Yeah, Betty Davis for sure.
Yeah. I absolutely love everything about her character. There is one thing that I wish I could see, and that would be if TNA and AEW's relationship was actually good. I wouldn't have minded her and Ash by Elegance doing something together.
Okay. See, a lot of things that we talk about here on this show kind of turn into actual things that happen. So
yeah, so I might have just put that out to the universe, didn't I?
You did.
Because
I think that would be great.
If you look at it this way, like I'm not a big fan of Dana Brooke, Ash by Elegance, but their characters would totally mesh well together.
Yeah. 100% they would. 100%. I do have a notable name for myself that I want to recognize from this list, and that is the number 12 spot. Way to go, girl. Liv Morgan. She made number 12. Roxanne Perez came in 11th. So going to Bobby's comments there, saying that he thinks he could see Roxanne Perez, in the top 5 or 10 next year. Well, I think, she's definitely on her way. I just want to go back quick. Oh, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, there's no doubt about Roxanne Perez going into the top 10, and no doubt on Liv Morgan. I mean, look at the stuff Liv has been doing opposite Rhea,
Right?
Yeah.
And if that continues, I wouldn't be surprised if Liv Morgan takes that number 1 spot next year.
Yeah.
Just saying.
Okay.
So the PWI Women's now top 250 started back in 2008. And it actually started as the top 50 to the top 50. And back then, I'm just going to run through kind of the list between 2008 and let's say like 2017. The names were very all over the place. So Beth Phoenix being number 2, with Awesome Kong being number 1 in 2008.
Okay, I was going to say, wait a minute, Beth Phoenix number 2. Then you said Awesome Kong at number 1. I'm like, okay, that makes sense.
Right? You had Angelina Love at number 2 with Mickie James at number 1 in 2009. Angelina Love again at number 2 with Michelle McCool in 2010. Mercedes Martinez at number 2 in 2011 with Madison Eagles at number 1. 2012, Gail Kim. 2013, cheerleader Melissa, friend of mine for years.
There's a name
2014 kind of started maybe a little bit more of the WWE names making their way through, where you had like Paige, Nikki Bella, Charlotte, and Asuka. But then you come to 2022, where I can never pronounce her name properly. Syuri. Syuri.
Syuri? Yeah. Syuri?
Yeah. Yeah. With that year, Bianca Belair being number 2.
Which year was that, sorry?
2022.
Okay.
Yeah. So, like, the names aren't always WWE names that are in the top spot. which I absolutely love.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm 100% with you there.
This is what I love about Bill Apter and doing the top 250 or the top 500. Looking at these lists allows me the chance to research and watch some of these wrestlers I have never heard of.
Oh yeah.
And every time I go and look at one of these wrestlers, I'm like, okay, I see why they got that spot.
Right.
I mean, look at our own friend Chris Parrish. I mean, I've seen his matches since he's told me about his time on the PWI, and I see why he got those spots.
That's right. Chris Parrish, part of Turnbuckle Studios with the Turnbuckle affiliation program. He has his show every Sunday where you can check out the Chris Parrish podcast as part of the Turnbuckle affiliation program. If you want more information about the affiliation program, shoot me a message on any of the socials that I will give to you in a little bit from my link tree. Tony Khan has announced that a wrestler, I guess, again, in AEW is taking on another wrestler, I guess, again. We're going to be seeing Lio Rush tomorrow taking on Shelton Benjamin.
I gotta say, I hope Shelton beats him up because I'm not a fan of Lio Rush. I'm sorry. I do not like that guy's attitude.
I thought both of them were done.
Oh, no. Shelton's been in MLW since he left WWE.
Really?
Right. But I didn't think that Shelton Benjamin was going to come into AEW for this type of a role. But
yeah,
he's back.
You know what? I'm on that same boat too, because I thought he was going to stick it out with MLW. I still want him versus Alex Kane. I still want that match.
Right.
But at the same time, I may tune into MLW or AEW tomorrow just to see how Shelton is in an AEW ring versus a WWE ring or an MLW ring.
Right. You just want to see Lio Rush get the crap beaten out of him.
Yeah, that too.
Yeah.
You know,
OMD.
No denying Lio Rush's attitude and arrogance have really played a role in how I feel about him, but I will never deny the man's work and his speed in the ring. Phenomenal athlete, but he let it go to his head. He believed his own hype and then thinks he's all this. We know he got paired with Lashley a number of years ago, and that really fizzled out because he burned way too many bridges doing that.
That's the other thing too. Both these men have a relationship with Bobby Lashley.
Yep. He, I mean, how many times has he quit wrestling to be a rapper, to come back, to, oh, I'm quitting wrestling to take care of my family, to come back. Oh, I don't like the way they do things in AEW. I'm going to go to Japan to come back.
See, that's the attitude that I'm not a fan of. I get leaving wrestling to go tend to your family. That's completely understandable. But to continuously walk in and out of the business and say that you're quitting, there's a term in wrestling that we all use, and it's never say never.
Yep.
Yeah.
So just when you say that you're going to leave wrestling, don't say you're quitting wrestling. Say you're taking a break from it for now to go and tend to other things. You know, that makes even more sense. It'd be more. I'd be more respectful to Lio Rush if he did that. You know.
Yeah, I mean, I've been a fan of Lio Rush's in-ring work since he was in Ring of Honor.
Okay.
But yeah, it's the attitude and the whole. For me, I'm going to call it the Dwayne Johnson mentality. Oh, there's too much pressure. I'm going to run away.
Okay.
Except, and I'm going to say this again, The Rock didn't leave because of too much pressure, dude.
Well, I'm dying on my hill.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, this actually intrigues me because I know that MVP has been involved with AEW. I think Lashley is in AEW now. I'm not sure.
Lashley has yet to make his AEW debut, but MVP and Shelton Benjamin both have.
Okay, so I got to tune in tomorrow to find out exactly what happens. Hopefully, it's not during the PlayStation Showcase tomorrow night.
Well, that's when
Hopefully
Dynamite
not.
starts.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm hoping that match isn't in during that time.
Right.
So we talk about all these wrestlers that are, kind of going all over the place, here, there, a little bit of everywhere. Right now, with the way that things have opened up with professional wrestling, and even with the WWE now taking their hand into it, where we're getting, stars from other shows kind of coming together. I got another interesting one here for you coming out of TNA. Now, TNA will be doing their pay-per-view Bound for Glory coming up soon. And thank you, Elda J, for this article that's done beautifully. An international star has been confirmed for TNA's Bound for Glory. This person has worked with TNA before. Now, their last performance took place on a January episode of Impact. Has challenged Chris Sabin, has been in a 3-way bout with Kushida. The person I'm talking about is Elio del Vikingo, is making his way back to TNA for Bound for Glory. TNA has not officially announced the capacity in which Vikingo is going to be there for the show. It's speculated that there may be a chance at the X Division Championship once more time. Current champion right now is Speedball Mike Bailey.
Yep.
Fellow Canadian. Amazing for Speedball. It's going to be very interesting to see. We may get like Speedball, Vikingo, and a 3-way with like Zachary Wentz, and maybe throw in, maybe somebody else. I don't know. But I can tell you that Vikingo is a veteran, 12-year veteran, has worked with Lucha Libre AAA. He's the longest reigning AAA mega champion in the company's history. He's worked with AEW and several other companies. What do you guys think about TNA broadening the horizons and bringing in somebody like Vikingo?
I'm all for it. Again, it gets these wrestlers that we may not get to see. I know I watched Vikingo a little bit more when he was doing the AEW stuff, and then he got hurt. But
Right.
he was also, after he took his break from AEW, he was in TNA. So I'm all for it because it's getting these stars that we might not see that North American exposure. And yes, I realize that Mexico is part of North America. We just don't get to see their wrestling a whole lot.
Right.
Yeah, it's not like the way it was in the mid 90s where we had easy access to Mexican wrestling.
Right. So I am all for it.
I definitely am too. So
Nice.
that is myself and Vikingo, as he let me hold his AAA championship title.
That is amazing, brother.
You're holding a piece of history there, brother.
I definitely am. Yeah, Vikingo is very, very cool. Mr. Best, what do you think about Vikingo working with TNA again?
So I haven't had a chance to actually watch him, but now that I have access to watching TNA, I'm hoping that they show me like some vignettes to let me know who he is, because I only know who he is through word of mouth. So I'm
Gotcha.
I'm very intrigued to see what they do with him for Bound for Glory. Even if I don't order it, I know that they're going to show Bound for Glory a couple weeks later on an Impact that they haven't taped, or on a week they haven't taped an Impact.
Right. Yeah, as they usually do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Bobby Batito thinks that Vinkingo could be Mike Bailey's opponent for Bound for Glory. And he says, who knows? TNA could put a title on him.
They could.
And I think that would be a smart idea for them to do. Having seen him on television and seen him live, I think it would be a very, very smart thing for him to do.
Yeah.
Mr. Best, what other topics do we have? I got a few more, but I want to hear some of yours.
So, because we've just finished a topic on AEW and a topic on TNA, I've got a story that melds both companies together to a certain degree. We've got some matches announced by Scott D'Amore and Maple Leaf Pro Wrestling for the 2 nights. Announced today, actually, is Kensuke Takeshita and Josh Alexander for the AEW International title. This intrigues me. This intrigues me because it's a title from a different company with 2 different guys who probably are just going to be just one-offs from Maple Leaf Pro. I'd have to assume. This one really intrigues me, but actually this whole card intrigues me. If you don't mind, I'd like to go over the card.
Yeah,
here.
please do.
Yeah, so we've got on October 19th, we've got Kensuke Takeshita wrestling a second match against a wrestler that Bobby Stats had just mentioned, Speedball Mike Bailey.
Yeah,
that's going to be a great match too. Rohan Raja takes on Jake something for the Grail Championship.
Oh,
that's going to be
a Maple Leaf Wrestling Championship.
Yeah, that's Maple Leaf. That's going to be Maple Leafs. I think it's going to be their main title, from what I understand. I'm not too certain on that one. QT Marshall takes on Bhupinder Gujar. I'm not familiar with that name. In a tables match, Bully Ray goes up against Raj Desi, and I think that's Jinder Mahal, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Kylie Ray versus Aurora Teves, Taylor Rising, and Laney Luck. I want to watch this match because I love Kylie Ray.
Taylor Rising is fantastic as well.
Yeah. I'm just looking. There's more to this card too that I want to see. Like right now, Josh Alexander also has another match as well. He's going to be teaming up with Stu Grayson and El Fantasmo against Trevor Lee, Alex Zane, and Rocky Romero. This is going to be a hell of a 6-man tag match.
Holy.
Giselle Shaw taking on Miyu Yamashita.
Ooh.
Oh, the more I read this card, I'm getting goosebumps thinking about this card. Kushida and Kevin Knight versus Aiden Prince and El Reverso versus Rohit Raju and Sheldon Prince versus Johnny Swinger and Brent Banks. I'm actually glad to see Johnny Swinger. It's been forever since I seen him wrestle a match.
So that's a 4-way tag match?
Yeah, and that's all on that's night 1. Because this is a 2-night show. So on the second night, in our second night, we've got Kensuke. Yeah. We've got Kensuke Takeshita and Josh Alexander for the AEW International Championship. For the ROH Women's.
Bobby says that match is going to be the fire match.
Oh, yeah. But this next match is going to be even more fire than that one, I believe. ROH Women's Champion Athena defends her title against Giselle Shaw.
Oh. So
And
Giselle Shaw is pulling double duty?
Yeah, and those are the only 2 matches announced for night 2. This card is lit. Like Scott D'Amore is coming out and firing on all cylinders with this card.
Yep. If you are not familiar,
go ahead, OMD.
I was going to say, if you're not familiar with Bhupinder Gujar, he was in TNA for quite some time. Very tall, very lanky, a little bit shorter than Hikuleo. But
Okay.
you could really see the green, but he was really starting to come into his own. And he's even had a match against Joe Hendry, which was fantastic. So if you, I would suggest going on YouTube and looking up some Bhupinder Gujjar.
There's a lot of people on this card I'm going to be looking up and watching for, and I'm hoping that because I won't have the money for the 20th to make the order, I'm hoping that Triller, which is where this is going to be broadcast, will allow me to purchase the event at a later time. So I have to watch this card now. There's no question about it. I have to watch it.
For sure. You talked about one of the competitors, Raj Desi. I want to go and say that Raj visited the Busted Open radio show where his opponent, Bully Ray, is a member of the Busted Open crew on Sirius XM. And he talked about his excitement regarding working with Scott D'Amore. He says Scott has a lot of respect from the pro wrestlers themselves in the industry for the people that he's trained, for the people that he's brought into the business, for the things that he's been able to accomplish. He's had a great career, and not only that, he's a very successful businessman outside of wrestling. So Scott is just one of those guys. And Scott's resources, all his connections in Canada, especially in the Windsor area, this is going to be something special. He continues on to say, and I look forward to more shows in the future. I really look forward to this being another place where wrestlers can come work, get experience, maybe wrestle on TV, get some TV experience, because that's an art in itself. Wrestle in front of a television camera, working hard cam angles, everything. It's an art. So really excited for this opportunity, and it's an opportunity for me to wrestle young, up-and-coming guys, give something back to the business. So 100% thank you to Busted Open Radio and, Wrestling Inc. for putting that article up there as well, and letting us use that information from Jinder Mahal, former Jinder Mahal, Raj Desi.
You know what? As you were saying that, I got myself a little excited. How cool would it be, like the guys that we see doing the CWE? How cool would it be to see some of them doing Maple Leaf Pro?
Oh, it would
How
be
cool would it
fantastic.
be to see some commentators with Maple Leaf Wrestling? How cool would it be to work cameras with Maple Leaf Wrestling? How cool would it be if we said hello to Chris Parrish, part of the Turnbuckle affiliation program? Chris, we gave you a good shout out earlier for somebody new that was in the chat. So I hope that makes its way to those people, Farsh and Chops. Again, thank you to everyone who has been here. I don't know why that logo is up there. I noticed it a while ago, and I completely forgot to get rid of it because we don't need that one up there. We need that one, the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program logo. Yeah, I noticed it, and then we just got to talking, and exciting talk. So, yeah. It'd be nice to see Raj Desi on with the CWE, with Canadian Wrestling's Elite. Yeah, I mean, Canadian Wrestling's Elite is open to working with a lot of different people. So who knows? Who knows? What other topics do you have here for us, Mr. Best? Or OMD, do you have any news topics for us?
Just one, and it's a minor one. I don't even remember the opponent, but once again, on January 1st, and again, this is the Forbidden Door, but Shinsuke Nakamura going back to compete in Japan.
Okay.
Yeah,
Cool piece
it
of
is
news.
it is for a title, I do believe, as well.
Yeah, we're gonna have to watch that situation closely then.
He's gonna be doing a show for Pro Wrestling Noah. I didn't catch the opponent's name myself, but he's done work with Noah in the past. I'm looking forward to it again because I do have a way of watching Noah now because Noah is shown on the Fight Network.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm excited for it. I want more Shinsuke on my WWE TV though.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah, it would be nice as well. Mr. Best, do you have any other different news items for us besides our final segment?
I do. I have a bit of a side story for us today.
Okay.
So announced by PW Insider. PW Insider is reporting that former COO of Ring of Honor, Joe Koff, sadly passed away today at the age of 73. He was the COO of ROH from 2011 to 22. He oversaw many key business transitions for the company, including the sale to Sinclair Broadcasting Group in 2011, which, by the way, when they did that sale, it made it so much easier for me to watch Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
Koff was a part of the ROH leadership that sold the company to Tony Khan in May of 2022. MLW also came out and announced the news of Koff's passing. They're saying MLW saddened to learn about the passing of Ring of Honor COO Joe Koff. On behalf of MLW, we extend our heartfelt condolences to his family and loved ones. Joe always led with honor, integrity, and a passion for the sport we all cherish. His legacy will live on in the hearts of everyone he inspired. Thank you, Joe, for your contributions and unwavering dedication to wrestling. Rest in peace.
Yes.
And several other wrestlers have tweeted their appreciation for him. Several companies have done that. We here at Turnbuckle Studios would also like to wish a rest in peace to Joe Koff as well, because he made some major transitions for ROH that were ultimately in the good for people who had easier access to Fox Broadcasting, because that's the Sinclair Broadcasting channel is what owns the Fox TV network. So
yeah.
But that's all I've got for my for my news today.
I got one other thing before we get to our final that I found interesting that I didn't know. And how I didn't know, I don't understand. But we had back in the day when we were watching professional wrestling as young teenagers, we had characters that would scream, froth at the mouth, shake, manic fury, and sweat spitting, flying all over the place, talking about 24-inch pythons and loading spaceships with rocket fuel and cream rising to the top. That's what we had. But then we had one of my absolute favorites in Jake the Snake Roberts. I just recently learned that his promo style was not a creative choice, but rather a life situation, where back in 1977, he took a knee dropped to his throat by Rob Roop, a former Greco-Roman wrestler who later turned pro and worked in promotions like the NWA and Angelo Paffo's ICW.
Mm-hmm.
He said that back in 77, I got a knee dropped to my throat and it crushed my voice box. So this is as loud as I can get. I can't get any louder. Trying to go louder, my voice disappears. So I had to go quiet. I had no idea.
Talk about
Regardless, though,
adapting.
Yeah, I mean, it still makes his promos stand out. You know, he's gotten loud in his promos, but he's never like full on like Hulk Hogan, Macho Man, Ultimate Warrior yelled. You know,
right?
Yeah.
Even like Bob Backlund, who is usually a more quiet, reserved, could get that very loud, boisterous boom come from him.
mm-hmm.
But
There
we
was a there.
never saw that with Jake, and now
Yeah.
I know why. Accidental. It was an accident. It wasn't anything malicious. I want to make sure that I put that out there. It was
Right.
a wrestling injury that happened.
Right. I actually learned about Jake the other day that most of his promos were also done in one take.
Yeah, that I
Back in
do.
the days when they were, pre-recorded and all of that, he did them all in one take, not having to sit there and go back over them. And
Right.
that, again, fantastic.
There's literally backstage footage of like Mean Gene and Howard Finkel, because Howard Finkel used to produce those backstage promos.
Yeah.
And there's literally like there's backstage footage of Jake doing the interview and then Howard being like, "Okay, we're good. You're done.
Yep.
Let's move on to the next wrestler."
Yeah. Yeah, I was honestly shocked, surprised. Yeah. Yeah. I had no idea. And I've talked with Jake on numerous different occasions. I have sat and smoked with him while I vaped. He's smoking cigarettes while on a cruise together. I've had interview with him. I have like so many different things that I have done with Jake, and I never knew that little piece.
Right.
So it just goes to show that there is always a story that you never hear about.
Right. So I did find Shinsuke's opponent for January 1st.
So
Oh,
did
did
Chris
you?
Parrish.
It is going to be Oka Sasaki.
Well, I'm glad you had your phone to find that, as Mr. Parrish did for us as well.
Yes. Yes, Oka Sasaki, and it is Sasaki's first dream. Is that for the Noah show?
Okay.
Is what it's called. So I'm guessing this is probably fantasy booking that he approached Noah about, and they said, "Can we use Shinsuke?"
It's a possibility for sure. Fantasy booking come to life. Why not?
I mean, I got to assume it's this gentleman's first match, actually. So imagine your first match and you're put up against a guy like Nakamura. That's a lot of faith to be putting on one wrestler, you know?
Yep.
That's a lot of stress for one wrestler to be under.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I now kind of understand. I now understand Vinny. I'm just going to say that.
Right. For sure.
But I think
we have, definitely. I think that we have exhausted all of our topics here for today. But as always, we do have our Oh my God in heaven. It is our Showstopper segment. Mr. Best.
How fitting is it that clip is our Showstopper segment, given that we are going to be talking about Daniel Bryan and his career.
Mm-hmm.
The man who trained him is in that footage, one Shawn Michaels.
Right.
As we all know, this past Saturday, Daniel Bryan has officially retired from full-time in-ring competition. And we've known for the last year that he was talking about retiring. He wanted to retire when his daughter Birdie had turned 7 years old. Well, now she's 7, so now he's going to be hanging up the boots. Got his start in 1999. That goes to show just how long he's been in this business. He was training under Dean Malenko's wrestling school for a brief little period, so we can credit Dean Malenko for training him as well. But unfortunately, Malenko had to close the school because he ended up going to the WWE. So then he went to Shawn Michaels, started training at the Texas Wrestling Academy in San Antonio, had his wrestling debut in December of 1999, and has toured Japan with the Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling. Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling, alongside the late Lance Cade. Which, by the way, I would have loved to have seen them work a match on WWE TV.
Right.
I felt Lance Cade, of course, also trained with the TWA. He also won the TWA Tag Team Championships with Spanky, aka Brian Kendrick.
Yep.
Defeating the Board of Education, Jeremy Sage and Ruben Cruz, but then they dropped the titles back to them. Now, here's the interesting part that a lot of people don't know, that Bryan Danielson, I should say, his first major promotion was the WWE. He came to the WWE to work their developmental system through Memphis Championship Wrestling. He gained exposure and was trained more so by William Regal, hence their lifelong friendship, whom he's credited as being instrumental in the development of his career, which, I mean, how can you not credit William Regal if he's going to help you out, right?
Oh,
Right.
yeah.
During this time,
and that was pretty evident, though, like with William Regal, right? Like the colors that he was wearing and everything like that. And I mean, it had been said before. So yeah, I mean, that was pretty evident.
Well, it was through this training that he developed the American Dragon moniker as well. Once the WWE had severed its ties with Memphis Championship Wrestling, though, Danielson went the way it went with Memphis Championship. However, in 2002, we would see Daniel Bryan make his return to WWE TV, more of as an enhancement talent. He would show up on, shows like Velocity. He had a great match against John Cena actually around that time. He had matches with Sean O'Hare, Little Guido. John Cena was Heat, by the way. He then, after that, would go on to New Japan Pro Wrestling and spend 3 years there with the American Dragon persona, where he donned a red, white, and blue mask reminiscent of a dragon, and he wrestled there as part of the junior heavyweight division, having success in both singles and tag team competition, winning the IWGP Junior Heavyweight Tag Team Championship with Curryman, Christopher Daniels.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
After that, this is where he had a long career, 7 years with Ring of Honor, where, I mean, like, the list of wrestlers he worked there is just a Hall of Fame list, with guys like Low Key, Austin Aries, Samoa Joe, AJ Styles, CM Punk. They had some killer matches there. Kevin Steen, Sami Zayn, or El Generico. Jesus, yeah, the list the list goes on for the guys that Bryan Danielson has worked, and when he turned heel in ROH, I loved him even more so then, because he went from like this plucky baby face, right? This baby face that everybody loves, the vanilla baby face, Bob Backlund kind of style.
Yep.
To this cocky, brash, I'm going to beat you up and I'm going to make you submit kind of wrestler, where people were now paying tickets to watch Bryan Danielson get his ass kicked as opposed to watching him win. And I'm like, I'm on board with this. And when he came to the WWE with Nigel McGuinness, a lot of my friends who were wrestling fans at that time had no idea who he was. I'm like, you're in for a show with him.
Oh yeah.
I was excited for him and Nigel. Unfortunately, Nigel couldn't get the contract because of health problems that were unforeseen at the time. But then we saw Bryan Danielson become Daniel Bryan during his time with the original version of NXT, which was the game show version. And we just saw just how golden he was, even though he was only there for like a couple of weeks. We got a slight taste of what Daniel Bryan could bring to us. And then he gets fired for choking Justin Roberts, which,
Right.
by the way, from what I've heard, Justin Roberts wanted that spot.
Okay, could be. Yep.
Yeah. And then he this is what I've and I'm gonna die on this hill too, but I think the firing was nothing more than a gimmick, because 2 weeks later, or what, it was like a month later, they brought him back to have that feud with John Cena and company and the Nexus at SummerSlam.
Okay.
Probably his first big feud, I would have to say, was that. Then there was the love triangle with the Bellas, which that was really weird for me, because that's not the Bryan Danielson I know, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Where are we now? We're up to about 2011 with that now, and where he won the Money in the Bank at 2011's Money in the Bank, right? I will never forget the cash-in, actually, because I actually liked the build to that, and we're getting a very similar build to that with Tiffy and Nia. We had Big Show and Daniel Bryan, who were playing like Daniel Bryan was his best friend and all that. Big Show had a problem with Mark Henry at the time, and that led to a chairs match at TLC that year, where I think it was Mark Henry who came out on top, and then Daniel Bryan cashed in on the Big Show, turning him heel effectively.
Yeah.
And then leading to that cage match at the Royal Rumble in 2012, which I actually enjoyed that cage match, because I was so curious about how a tiny man like Daniel Bryan was going to escape two big men in Mark Henry and the Big Show, because it was Mark Henry and Big Show he was defending the title against.
Right.
What are some of your guys' biggest memories of Daniel Bryan? Because I've been talking a lot here, so.
I mean,
Go ahead,
again,
OMB.
watching him back in the old school ROH, as you said, that plain vanilla babyface, and the growth that he took from there, both in the ring and, personality and looks wise.
Mm-hmm.
Even when he came to the WWE, he still had that look, but you saw that over the years grow as he, grew the beard, grew his hair out, and still tried to maintain that, wholesome image until he got the hemp belt and, started making things about his veganism.
The burger promo from the Royal Rumble a few years ago, one of my favorite Daniel Bryan promos ever. So,
and then all the way up to today, where now I'm going to knock your effing block off.
Yeah.
I'm going to be honest with you. I did not have it on my bingo card that Jon Moxley was winning the belt on Sunday.
Yeah.
I thought they were going to keep it on Bryan, but I know he's also needing and wanting the neck surgery.
Yeah.
Now he has actually been working for several weeks, upwards of 6 to 8 weeks without contract. So
yeah, he was on a pay-per appearance deal after his contract had expired.
Yeah,
they were just looking for a way to get the belt off of him.
Yeah, he did. I did find out afterwards that he wanted to drop the belt to Mox,
mm-hmm.
but
right.
I didn't have it. I thought for sure he was actually going to retain on Sunday.
Well, as was said earlier, never say never. You guys have talked a lot about his time within the WWE and his time in Ring of Honor. for me, one of the most notable from his time within AEW would have been back in like March of 2023, where he had an Iron Man match, a 60-minute Iron Man match at the Revolution event. He lost this match after it went to a sudden death overtime against then world champion Maxwell Jacob Friedman, or MJF. That match was amazing. It was match of matches. It was a standard accomplishment. If you can do better than that, you have accomplished something.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest matches that I have seen in a very, very long time was that match. And for me, I think that that is one of the greatest things that he has done within AEW.
I want to talk about one of the biggest things for me that Daniel Bryan has done, and that's his relationship with Connor the Crusher. I mean, the charitable work that man has done since meeting Connor has just been out of this world. I hope he continues on with that, with his post-ring. Because,
with Connor's Cure.
Yeah. I mean, the stuff with Connor's Cure he's done, the stuff with the Make-A-Wish that he's been doing as well. Keep it up, man, because like he said before that Connor the Crusher inspires him. Well, those kids are also inspired by you, Daniel. So keep it up, my man. Keep it up.
And with that, we want to thank each and every one of you and let you know to keep it up with all of us here at Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program. We're going to get to our socials here for you, play you our little commercial to let you know what is available before we take our leave. OMD, let's start with you. Where can the people find you?
The people can find me on my link tree, linktr.ee/OMD show.
Mr. Best.
All right, you guys can find me also at my link tree. That's linktr.ee/Chris_best83.
And go and check out Mr. Chris Parrish as well at linktree/Chris Parrish, PERISH. He has some great, he has some amazing stuff over there. You want to be checking out the Chris Parrish podcast every Sunday. You'll get to see the time when that happens. So yeah, go and check out Mr. Chris Parrish. What were you saying there, Chris?
I was going to say, and while you're checking out the Chris Parrish podcast, do what I did on Sunday and go to rogueenergy.com. Use the promo code Parrish for 10% off of your order. I actually did make an order. I ordered a new starter kit that's coming to my house in a couple weeks. So
amazing. Find me on my socials, Linktree, linktr.ee/Carl Carafel. That is linktr.ee/KARLKARUFEL. Once again, thank you to each and every one of you for coming in here, being with us, and just making life real nice for all of us. Remember, everyone, the world's a scary place, so make sure you take care of each other.
Turnbuckle Studios and the Turnbuckle Affiliation Program bring you the week of streams. All times are in Eastern Time. Monday nights you get the Locker Room Breakdown at 7 p.m., followed by the Raw Patrol at 8 p.m. Tuesday brings you the flagship show, Turnbuckle Talk, at 8:05 p.m. Wednesday we play games with the PlayStation Showcase at 8 p.m. Thursday we get a variety stream with the Boar's Nest at 8 p.m. Friday we game again with Unleashed, the Jessica Wilde story at 7 p.m. Following the game, join us for the SmackDown Security Detail at 8 p.m. The weekend brings you Saturday Night Gaming at 8 p.m. On Sunday be sure to catch the Chris Parrish podcast at 12:15 p.m. Be part of the shows and join the chat every day.